Hey guys, Joel here, and today wanted to chat with you for just a second about defending your home from a mob. So there are lots of different ways that this topic and this possibility are brought up based on different people, but if you live in a city or a suburb, especially in a place that was affected by the riots last year, or even may still be affected by the riots now, and I know there are places where that's still going on and it's just basically being ignored by the media, then this would be something that's of great concern to you. A lot of people are worried about this if there's some kind of a breakdown or a collapse, and they have like gangs trying to come and take their stuff, right? It could be like 12 people, it could be 20 people, it could be 100 people, and they're like, hey, that person, you know, there's still lights on in that house when there's not lights on anywhere else. What do they have? I want to come take it. Yeah. So that sort of thing. The biggest weakness, the biggest concern if you're defending a home, a structure, is fire. Fire is your biggest concern. So if you're worried about defending, you know, a lot of people are like, oh, you know, where do I put the ballistic protection and blah, blah, blah. And that is a concern. If you have a stick house and drywall, then bullets go right through those walls, right? So if somebody's shooting at you, your walls won't stop anything. Now, if you have a block house or things like that, especially if it's filled block, if it's not filled, it might stop a couple of rounds, but it's not going to stop that many rounds, right? So if you have concrete block, but it's empty and hollow inside, 2-3 rounds in the same spot, and you've got a hole all the way through that wall. Okay, now that, you know, that it's good. It's way better than a stick house, but don't pretend like you can just hide there while somebody shoots at you with a machine gun if that's really your concern. But really, in most of these situations, it's not a firefight. It's not like the Old West movies where, you know, the cowboys are inside the structure with the, you know, little cross cuts in the windows, and the Indians are riding horses around shooting arrows at them and trying to climb in through the roof. The real concern is somebody taking a Molotov cocktail or some, you know, modified torch kind of a thing, throwing it on your roof, and your shingles catching on fire, and now you no longer have a structure to defend, right? You're forced out because of the fire. All they have to do is light the fire, step back, and wait. And that is your biggest concern if you're trying to defend something. So everybody focuses on the guns and the magazines and the, you know, how do I do this and how do I do that? And that's not a bad thing, but they ignore the biggest glaring weakness they have, which is somebody burning your house down. So if this is a concern for you, if you're in a place where you're like, hey, I want to be able to defend this structure, and I want to be able to defend it against maybe an Antifa mob, some kind of a riot, or, you know, people coming and actually trying to take what I have during a whatever situation may occur, then fire is the biggest thing you need to defend against. So my recommendations are, you want windows that you cannot throw things through easily, right? So if somebody has a Molotov cocktail in a bottle, that's fairly heavy. It has some density to it when it's full of a liquid, and so it would smash through your average window very easily. So if somebody runs up, throws it through a window, smash, and now that goes off inside your house. It's almost impossible to make the inside of your house flame resistant, and so voila, now your house is on fire. Okay, so make your windows hurricane type windows. You can do that with either placing a laminate on them. Make sure that the laminate somehow attaches to the frames of the windows, so that it's not just the whole window breaks and it comes in as one piece, right? That's good if you're worried about shatter, but if you're actually trying to keep things from getting in the first place, actual hurricane windows where the laminate goes underneath the frame and then the frame really securely attaches to that window is your ideal situation. So you should be able to walk up to your window, smash it with a wood baseball bat 5-6 times, and it should not, the glass will break inside the laminate, but you should not be able to gain entry through that means, right? You should not be able to throw something at the window and it go through the window and into the house. Now that doesn't mean that you can't shoot through. Those typically are not bulletproof, so that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about throwing something on fire into your house, because that's risk number one. Then you need to have a roof that is fire resistant, which means no shingles. If you have shingles or any kind of like tar paper rubberized roofing that will catch fire, then you are at high risk for something being thrown on your roof. And if that happens, then your roof will catch on fire and your house will burn down. So metal roofing, things like that, are extremely important in that situation. And then you want to have some kind of exterior siding to include your doors, right? Because if you have a block house and you have wooden doors, they throw a Molotov cocktail at your front door, it will catch on fire and it will burn. Okay, so you have, you know, metal doors with, they might have a wood core. You need to look into the fire ratings on those sorts of things. I'm not here telling you I'm an expert on all these things. I'm just telling you these are things to think about, right? These are the weak points in your house. So I have full-on commercial metal doors at the place that I go. If something, you know, starts to break down or there's a hurricane or any of that kind of stuff, I go to my facility, my training facility. It is concrete block on the foundation 3 feet up. It is filled concrete block 3 feet up. It is a metal structure, a metal building that is insulated on the inside, that is fire coated so that it's somewhat resistant, and it's metal, so metal's hard. You can hold a fire against it for a little while if you use like gasoline or something like that, but you're not going to catch the metal itself on fire. And it has a metal roof, and so it is metal and concrete. And metal and concrete are really hard to catch on fire. I also, in this particular structure, don't really have any windows, which is a weakness in some degrees, but not in others. I have cameras on the outside, but of course, if somebody's on the outside, they can throw ropes or lassos up or things like that and yank those down and break them, and you would lose sight of those. But we have multiple layers of security in that situation too, where I have dogs that would be outside. We can deal with things outside before they actually get to the structure. So be aware of fires, go through, evaluate your house based on that threat, and make sure that if mobs are a concern, you deal with the fire concern before you worry about gunfights.